Andy, we spoke many a time. This is the first time we've come down to Motul headquarters. And what I want to talk to you about today is Motul as a whole. Let's go right back to the start. 1853, I believe.
Yep. 172 years ago. Makes me feel young.
Yeah. But the Motul of today is benefiting from all those years, isn't it?
Everything I think we've done in the past has led us to where we are today. And I think keeping the past in mind of how we go into the future is also important. Motul has built a business from its innovation, its development, its pushing the boundaries, and it's what got us here. And it's also going to help us get us there as well in the same time. But we are changing.
But it's not all about the good times you learn from, is it? It's also the bad times, not just from Motul or Oil's point of view, but from the world's point of view. Everything's an experience that brings you to where you are today.
Absolutely. The changing environments that we all operate in as people, as manufacturers, as business, you have to adapt to it. And sometimes it's the innovation is stemmed from those circumstances that spill out the back of it. You know, the big ones today with the world and the way it is and the impacts it has, you know, it's making us do things differently in different ways than we have done in the past.
The big question, have we ever seen such a big change? 172 years later now, with what's going on with the EV world, etc., and obviously oil sustainability, has it ever been like this before? I know you won't know back from 1853, by the way.
You say it, but actually we started with electric cars right from the start. And then we went to combustion cars, you know, and we all thought we were mad to drive around with petrol tanks in the back. And we've actually kind of done full circle and come back round to electric cars in that way. So you kind of adapt at that particular point. But if you look at engines and how they've adapted over the last few years, we went from leaded fuel to unleaded. That had an effect on engines. We went from winter weights and summer weight oils to multi-grades. That had an effect on engines. We went from oils that were, you know, dumping sludge in the bottom to oils that now that, you know, are dispersing at certain points. They're going through filtration systems. So, you know, everything at every step we have to learn from, and we're still learning from it today.
One thing's been strong over the 172 years is your brand.
Yep.
An old brand, retro. Yeah. It still actually looks a very good piece of branding, doesn't it? And obviously to today, but you can tell it's Motul. Everything represents your brand.
Yeah, and you definitely see it in the heritage stuff that we do, because originally it started as the Swan in Finch, and then it come over to Motul in the latter years. But what's really great is, although the branding is strong, actually the product that we now produce for the older stuff is slightly changed, because we use the advancements of today to go back for the retro vehicles to change and improve their formulations for those engines. And you know, people don't realise that you can look at a 1040 grade, you can have two types of 1040. One can be with cats and one can be without cats. They're very different in their makeups, and that's the benefit of the advancements that we've made throughout the years. We can also go back to our prior ranges and update those for those cars in those retro and those classic cars as well. And
the car park is ageing because of many things, but this has got to be helping that, hasn't it? It's got to be helping people keep their cars longer.
Yeah, we're seeing it. We're certainly here in the UK, we're seeing the car park age getting slightly older. There's a couple of contributors that are affecting that.
Yeah.
But what that does mean is people are holding on to their cars longer.
And like you say, the car park is ageing, and I think now we are moving towards prevention rather than cure, aren't we?
Absolutely. There are many things that you can do when you've got slightly older vehicles to maintain them and preserve them for that little bit longer. What you use in them and how you service and maintain them have a huge impact. And the problem is you'll quite happily go and wash and clean your car with good products because you can see it on the outside.
Yeah.
However, because you can't see on the inside, you don't really have a benchmark to judge that on. But, you know, when we're working with engine builders that have had engines going around racetracks, for argument's sake, and they've used one oil versus, let's say, ours, and we then compare the wear results, it can be quite phenomenal.
And we've looked back, we've looked at the history, and obviously we've almost looked at the future. But the future of Motul is very exciting, isn't it? Tell us how you're moving forward now, the Ngen oils and everything that's moving forward, and you bring all that technology in, really exciting times.
Yeah, no. So we as a business are diversifying. We're looking at many different things in many different areas. You know, oils is just one of them, and I'll come back to that in a minute. We'll segue back into it. But you know, the additives business, we have just bought an additives business. There's many things there that can go to do with prevention of engines as well, with reducing contaminants in fuel tanks and cleaning out injectors that help with efficiencies. We've ventured into immersive battery technology, so we have a company that we've got a huge investment in, and we've now already pioneering immersive battery cooling fluids for electric vehicles and even data centers, you know, because they use a similar technology. And then when it comes to oils, our Ngen technology is the next big innovation that we're really pioneering. And again, that is about making what we do as an oil manufacturer sustainable, but at the same time, it can't compromise our performance in what we've created in our traditional oils. And I can happily stand here today and say we've been able to do that through the innovation, through the development, through the testing, that we can do it a little bit more sustainable without any compromise to the car, the engine, the fuel, you know, the pride and joy that we all care about.
Now, you're very well known in motorsport. Indeed, this is your corner now, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Le Mans, your corner. Do you work from motorsport backwards into passenger vehicles, or you know, day-to-day vehicles, or do you go from day-to-day vehicles and then bring that technology to motorsport? Which way do you do?
It's a great question.
Thank you.
It's a great question. I think it's really widely known that motorsport tends to pioneer quite a lot of things that come back into road cars, and if we date back in our history, you know, F1 cars of 1970s and you know the early periods, we've got road production cars that are now faster, quicker, brake and corner better in some instances. There are a lot of things that are pioneered, especially this one here at Le Mans. You know, in 22, I think it was now. I'm trying to date back. They moved to sustainable fuels.
Yeah.
That had a knock-on effect for oil and fuel dilation in the oil. So again, you know, we've been working with other sustainable things in and around us and taking the R&D and the knowledge from it, and that is pioneering what goes into today. And especially with our racing oils, you know, if we can make an oil last 390, 400 laps at 80% full throttle, you know, 24 hours through the night, the day, the cold, the hot, the rain, and make that survive, that learning always naturally filters itself back through into what goes into the can and the oil that you then buy and put in your car.
And of course, that is the key, isn't it? That's your customer, is the person with the car out on the street. And actually now we are educating the public to look for the better oils, and the fact that if you spend £20 rather than £10 on oil, that £20 oil might say it's actually lasts 4 times longer.
Yeah, look, there is definitely a difference between oils in manufacturers. You know, there's difference between garages, there's difference between drivers. Everything has a difference, and it's what goes into those differences. And I think with what we produce and goes in the can, it's that brand that you can trust is producing that higher quality. We're not a brand that wants to lower the specs or lower the quality of what we do. You know, we see the blood in our veins is the life form to keep us alive. It's exactly the same for oil in engines. So for us, it's hugely important that people do start to think about what products they use. And you know, I think everybody wants a good quality product at a fair price, and that's where we're trying to pitch ourselves. So
for a garage owner now, we talk to the garage owner who's suggesting this oil to the client. How does the garage owner ensure it's the correct oil?
Now that's a great question, because actually there's more to applicating oils than people think. First of all, you've got what type of grade do you want? Secondly, what type of technology you want. There's minerals, semi, fullies, ester cores, competition oils. And then you can really start to go on, does it have an approval? Is it ACEA or API approved? But the most important one for me is, does it have a manufacturer approval? And there's a very big difference then. Meets the and is approved by specification.
Yes.
So, you know, one thing we're very big on is making sure that we're approved by, and we spend the money in that area getting our oils approved by the manufacturers, so it doesn't affect if you've got a brand new car under the block exemption regulation. You're not going to fall into any issues or hurdles with those.
And you have a checker, of course?
We do. We have an online checker, so you can go and applicate your vehicle by VRM to see what oils fit your vehicle. Sometimes there can be two options depending on the manufacturers, so it's just about applicating that. We have a technical line that people can ring when they really get stuck, but we're very big on making sure that our applicators are up to spec for applicating the right oil for your vehicle.
A little bit different to 172 years ago. I don't think there's an online checker then.
No, I don't think it does. SE30 in one season and SE50 in the other, and us Brits like to put of SE40, but there you go.
And just finally, obviously, oil is a great add-on sale for a garage. Garage now have a captive audience and reception. We've changed. It's not an oily rag system like it used to be. Quite nice receptions. How do you assist garages having that point of sale things in their receptions now to boost their profits and obviously to help Motul sell their oils?
Look, we've just pioneered a bit of a garage service plus, which is all about supporting garages and going out to market. And why does a garage do what it does? What I would always say to a garage is customers don't come in and paying my oil in their engine as why they had a good service. They see it as the garage that they went to. It's their reputation. What I can do as a brand is guarantee the product quality that they're purchasing in that bottle going into that engine is protecting their reputation.
And reputation is key for the garage, isn't it? Because there's that many now that are coming through, and obviously social media's changed a lot as well. Garages are more seen. The old backstreet garages now are changing. They have to.
Yeah, they do, and people have higher expectation. The next generation of car drivers sometimes see cars a little bit different. They like to see nicer environments, nicer places, shall we say.
Does it have Apple CarPlay?
Yeah, does it have Apple CarPlay? Can I take a nice picture there, maybe? I don't know, but they do have a different expectation of their perception. And sometimes that's right, and sometimes that's wrongly perceived. If it looks nice and clean, it's going to give me a good service versus the other, and it's not necessarily the way. But it's their perception of how they go and how they see it. And, we're seeing a lot more specialist garages popping up that stick to a certain level of marquees. Again, this is where our approvals, our oils can support those particular garages with that slightly higher quality product, but they're offering a higher quality service to a set marquee. And
you're going to work with higher quality service garages, aren't you? Because that represents your brand best.
Absolutely. We treat ourselves as a high quality, high performance brand, and we like to make sure that we support high quality garages that want to offer that same level of service, and that's the sweet spot for us. Today we're going to talk to you about the next generation of oils. In particular, we're going to talk to you about Motul's Ngen technology. Motul have been innovators since 1853, so we have 172 years of expertise in the oil industry. We have been one of the first to create semi-synthetic oil in 1966, and the first to create in 1971 the fully synthetic oil within our 300V range. Today, we're still innovating and producing the next technologies for oils, and in particular, this is the Ngen technology. What is Ngen? Ngen stands for next generation. And for us, next generation is about the next generation of how we formulate our oils. Traditionally, we've been formulating oils using virgin base oils, but today we're finding different and innovative ways to be able to do this in a much more sustainable way. By doing so, we can reduce our carbon footprint. So how do we create the Ngen technology? Essentially, we collect used engine oil. We then take it to the chemical processing that we would do for refining virgin base oils. We purify the raw materials ready to be reformulated again back into oil. What we've heard of in the past is recycled or regenerated is a similar process. However, we're re-refining. So we're using the exact same process that we do for a virgin base oil for a used engine oil, bringing it back to its state so that we can build up our formulations from this. Some of the benefits from re-refined base oils or using re-refined base oils is the whole value proposition that we do for refining oil. We can save roughly 35% of that carbon footprint, as well as producing high performance OEM approved oils. Also, the benefit goes much beyond that to the car. We are able to keep the cleanliness, the anti-wear, the oil durability, the consumption, the startup, the engine response, and many other fuel savings as a result of the additive packs that we build into these new regenerated base oils. The production of re-refined base oil consumes less energy than the production of virgin base oils, leading to an improvement of CO of roughly around 35%. The product that we actually take away, the used oil, we're able to take 100% of the waste. 65% of that we can re-refine into a high quality yield for re-refined base oil usage. 14% of that roughly goes into bitumen, 8% is diesel, there's roughly about 8% in water, and then there's 5% of waste, some part of solid or some sort of liquid matter that we take away from it. But just to give you an example of how well that goes, when I look at a virgin base oil out from the ground, which essentially is a product that's been re-refined to give us our base oil, it has to go through a process to bring it to a state that we can use in oil. It's quite dirty when it comes out of the ground. With re-refined oil, we are bringing that back to that state. So regardless of whether it's been through an engine or out the ground, the process is bringing it back to a core base for us to build from. People think a re-refined oil will be of a darker colour. Here is a standard oil that we have in our range, and our re-refined oil is actually slightly lighter. So again, the illusion that you think a re-refined oil is going to be dirty, black, like you would expect to come out of the engine, is actually far from the truth. The dyes that we put back in the genetic makeup that we build up, from the polymers, the additive packs, that's what gives the oil its colour. There are some myths around re-refined oil, particularly around the quality. Does it have the same performance level? Will it protect my engine? Remember, we've been using ourselves water in cities re-refined for many, many years. And this is exactly the same as what we're doing with engine. So the myths from the olden days of what was classed as filtering recycled oil are long gone. It's a completely different story now. We have put our Ngen to the test. Not just the test that the UTAT results, but real life tests. We've competed in the Dakar with it. We have an influencer who's going around the world on their BMW with a bike engine full of Ngen. We also have done a project with a bike here locally where we have taken a motorcycle, refined the bike from its current state, and now putting it through a series of commuter, long road trips, track tests, just to prove that the engine will be as good on a re-refined base oil as a virgin base oil. So Ngen, it really is the future to how we're going to formulate oils going forward. And best of all, it's with zero compromise.
Hi, my name is Ricky. I run RE Performance in Swindon, and we specialise in the tuning and performance upgrades of supercars. I started my business in 2016, and Motul have always been a massive technical partner of ours back in the days when I was building superbike engines years and years ago. It's a product that's quite close to my heart. I run it in my own race bike. I run it in my own track car. We use it in our clients' cars. I use it when I build engines at racing GT3 and LMP championships around the world. So the reason we use Motul products, especially their lubricants package in our performance and our race engines, is the outstanding temperature protection they offer and the bearing wear. So we obviously see lots of engines back in for refreshes as they go through their service life. We monitor and control how they wear and what needs doing at different intervals. The Motul product line, just especially the 300V, just gives us a outstanding bearing wear, really. Then on top of that, the operating temperatures they can run at just allows our clients to run their race cars right on the edge, winning races, winning championships, knowing that the engine and the lubricants package they use and coolants package and all the other products Motul offer get them across the finish line. So when we first started, it was lubricants package for 8100 on road and service vehicles, all the way up to 300V on race cars and race engines. And now, especially with the big 1600 horsepower twin turbos we're building, we use their high torque DCTF fluids. We use the RBF 700 brake fluid for road and track, same as what I use in my race bikes. So we've obviously got clients running it on the road and running it in race series. They'll come up, they'll pit their car, they'll take away an extra litre or two of fluid to get them through their service interval. From the race car point of view, we support them afterwards with the product to continue the servicing of the engines or transmissions when they're at racetracks. And we get nothing but great reports, how the fluid drains out, what it carries, how it looks, the degradation of it. We use the Motul Technical Lab to get our fluids tested as well, so we can always offer that feedback to our clients to show how the fluid is degrading over wear. The temperature rating that Motul works at, especially 300V, far exceeds pretty much everything on the market. I've not found anything else that operates happily at the same temperature thresholds, and we monitor pressure and temp like a hawk, especially on our race package engines. And then bearing protection. I've pulled engines apart that have no mileage on them and the bearings look like they've come out of the sandpit, whereas we pull our stuff apart, or other engines that have been run on Motul, and the lubricants, the detergents package inside it just mean the engine just looks immaculate inside. And then from our road customer point of view, our road client point of view, we've obviously got an aging car park now. So the earliest R8 is 2007. We look after 2001, 2002 Gallardos onwards, a couple of Murcielagos, and that new technology lubricants package in older engines is just giving the owners peace of mind that they've got the best chance really inside their engine. They can do no more with looking after and servicing their engine by using a Motul lubricant package, or a coolant that's designed to use in an aluminium block, or a brake fluid that's designed to be used at high temperature. So yeah, the product line that is available means whether we're doing a brand new R8 LMS race car that's running in British GT3, or whether we're doing a 1998 Murcielago that is a guy's pride and joy that's used once every 6 months, we've got the right fluid for the job.
The real connection started back in 2016. Ricky had been using our products in his workshops for a period of time, and he's been building high-end, high-quality cars, so he needed high-end, high-quality fluids to go with it. I really stumbled across it randomly. I was going across some YouTube videos, come across RE Performance, and I watched one of his videos where he's talking about Lamborghinis and things that you need to be mindful of, and he actually referenced that he uses the Motul product, and that was his recommendations. And ever since then, we connected together, really started to go in depth with about what his requirements were, and we then really started to support Ricky from a brand perspective. But the real attraction for us is Ricky is a high-end, high-quality, attention to detail builder of engines and motor vehicles, and we're a high-end manufacturer of fluids for high-quality, high-end performance vehicles. And the synergies between the way we operate and our DNA and what we're passionate about and care about, and what Ricky cares about and passionate about to produce for his end consumer, just massively aligned. And ever since, the relationship has got deeper over the years, where we've supported with R&D and topics, in-depth technical developments with some of the stuff that Ricky's doing. But more often than not, Ricky is running dynos, so he can really test certain fluids under different conditions, and he's supplying as much feedback to us as we're supplying to him when he's building these incredible vehicles.